In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, the most powerful techniques are known as domain expansion. Few sorcerers and curses can actually use this ability, but those who can are some of the strongest in the series. This makes measuring the power level of these domain expansions a good indicator for the strength of the sorcerer, usually resulting in attacks that are guaranteed to hit their targets. However, some domain expansion also grant the user some specific benefit. Here are all the domain expansion shown in Jujutsu Kaisen anime and manga so far, ranked from the least to the most powerful. Number 12. Yorozu's threefold affiliation. Imagine Legos, but more hardcore and cursed. That's basically Yorozu's whole deal in Jujutsu Kaisen. Her curse technique lets her build all sort of wacky weapons and structures out of thin air. Now picture this. Yorozu activates her domain expansion, which is like a spooky zone where she traps her opponent. Inside this domain called threefold affiliation, her construction magic gets a major power up. It's like Legoland on steroids, but instead of stepping on rogue brick, anything Yorozu builds is a guarantee hit for her opponent. No more dodging or outsmarting her attacks. It's pure getting hit by a giant cursed Lego hammer time. This domain basically turns Yorozu into a construction worker from hell. And let's be honest, that's pretty terrifying image. Of course, there's more to Yorozu than just hammering people, but that's the gist of her domain. Just wait till you see what kind of curse creation Yorozu cooks up next. Number 11. Hiromi's deadly sentencing. Forget physical brawls, this also settles things up in court, a cursed court that is. Meet Higuruma, the lawyer sorcerer who traps his opponents in his domain expansion called Deadly Sentencing. Imagine stepping into a creepy courtroom filled with guillotines. Not exactly ideal for a relaxing afternoon. But there's the twist. This isn't your average courtroom drama. Higuruma throws a whole folder of dirt on you, spilling your deepest secrets and past wrongdoing. Then a giant judge known as Judge Man lays down the law. If Higuruma argues well enough and proves that you're guilty, you might just get hit by a cursed sentencing. Like losing your cursed energy or worse, getting whacked by a super-powered light sword. Talk about a harsh judge. Now the funny thing is, Higuruma doesn't even control the verdict. Judgment is a fickle one and knows what punishment you might get. This domain is all about mind games and exploiting your past mistakes. So if you have a skeleton or two in your closet, you better hope you never end up on a trial with Higuruma as a prosecutor. It's like being judged by your internet search history. But this is way more with swords and way less chill. Calling all Jujutsu Kaisen fans, this Gojo bobblehead with phone holder is the ultimate desk buddy. Watch your favorite blindfolded sorcerer wobble while holding your phone. It's too good to be real. Link in the description. Head out soon before you miss out on this action figure. Number 10. Smallpox Deity's Graveyard's Domain. Picture this. You're chilling with a cursed spirit, maybe playing a friendly game of Ludo, when BAM! You're trapped in a creepy graveyard. That's the not so friendly welcome to the Smallpox Deity's Domain expansion, creatively known as Graveyard's Domain. This special grade jerk doesn't mess around. His whole deal is inflicting smallpox, a disease so nasty it was basically erased from existence. Inside the graveyard, things get real fun in the worst way possible. The smallpox deity throws you in a coffin. Not exactly a 5-star hotel experience, but then he starts a 3-second countdown. Escape the coffin in time, you might live. But if you're too slow, poof, instant smallpox and one-way ticket to afterlife. Imagine the pressure. It's like a scene from every horror movie where you're trapped and desperately scrambling to avoid a gruesome fate. So next time you face a smallpox deity, maybe bring a lockpick or practice your coffin escaping skill. You definitely need in this terrifying domain. Number 9. Naoya Zenin's Time Cell Moon Palace. Naoya Zenin? More like Naoya get wrecked at 24 frames per second Zenin. This arrogant jerk has a domain called Time Cell Moon Palace, which sounds fancy but basically a nightmare for anyone with bad rhythm. Picture a black void and a giant eyeball staring down on you. Creepy, right? Well, that eye track every move of you. And guess what? You better move like a perfectly animated character. But why should you? Because this domain forces everyone to follow the 24 frame per second rule just like a cartoon. Mess up and move too fast and too slow? Bam! You get sliced by a cursed film reels. But that's not all. It can target specific body parts down to the cellular level. So imagine trying to fight while your arm keeps glitching back to the previous frame. stuck mid-punch. Yeah, not so cool. Basically, his domain turns you into a lagging character in a video game, ready to exploit every jerky move. Number 8. Megumi Fushiguro's Chimera Shadow Garden. Imagine your worst nightmare fueled by the shadows. That's basically Megumi Fushiguro's domain expansion, the Chimera Shadow Garden. Forget fancy names, this domain is a pure nightmare. Megumi, the resident shadow manipulator in Jujutsu Kaisen, unleashes a flood of inky blackness that swallows everything around him. It's like stepping into a dark room with thousands of creepy crawlers lurking everywhere. But these aren't your average shadows. They're crawling with all of Megumi's creepy shikigamis, those animal-like curse objects he can summon. This domain basically becomes a buffet for his shikigami, letting them multiply and get stronger. Plus, Megumi can manipulate the shadow themselves, creating illusions and disorients his opponent. So if you ever find yourself trapped in a swirling vortex of darkness with hungry monsters lurking within, you might just be unlucky enough to face Megumi Fushiguro. Number 7. Jogo's Coffin of Iron Curtain. Ever wish for a summer vacation involving chilling on an active volcano? Well, Jogo from Jujutsu Kaisen can make that dream, a nightmare come true. His domain expansion named the Coffin of the Iron Curtain throws you into a fiery hellscape, straight out of a crazy nightmare. Imagine a picture-perfect beach replaced by a river of lava, fluffy clouds with raining molten rocks, and a friendly neighborhood mailman replaced by a fire demon with a creepy smile. That's Jogo's domain for you. This domain is not only attractive, although a constant threat of being a human barbecue is pretty terrifying. The intense heat messes with the cursed energy, basically making you fight with oven mitts on. Plus, Jogo's control of the flame is like a pyromaniac with a flamethrower. Giant fire fist, raining meteors of molten doom, you name it, he has it all. So unless you're packed with some serious heat resistance and firepower, Jogo's domain is a one-way ticket to becoming a crispy person in his personal fiery funhouse. Number 6. Hakari's Idle Death Gamble. Forget punching and kicking. Hakari from Jujutsu Kaisen fights like a gambling addict with way too much of cursed energy. His domain expansion is a glorious and confusing idle death gamble. Turns the whole fight into a twisted pachinko parlor. That's a Japanese pinball machine on steroid. Imagine a giant pachinko board with you as an unlucky ball. Hakari throws his cursed balls and depending on where they land, you either get smacked by him or something good happens. It's all random chance like a cursed slot machine. His domain is basically a gamble for both of them. Hakari might get a power boost, heal himself, or even land a guarantee hit. But hey, it could also backfire and leave him wide open for an attack. It's like playing Russian roulette with cursed energy, except way more confusing and with way more pachinko balls. So facing Hakari is a wild card. You might get destroyed or you might accidentally buff yourself by mistake. Just another day in a wacky world of Jujutsu Kaisen. Number 5. Mahito's self-embodiment of perfection. Imagine a funhouse mirror gone rogue. That's basically Mahito's domain expansion. The not-so-cheerful self-embodiment of perfection. This creepy curse wraps reality to make everything look wrong. Buildings turn into a melty mess. Your arms might suddenly stretch to the floor, and Mahito himself transforms into a nightmare with a big creepy smile. It's like a bad acid trip come to life, and the worst thing is what it has done to you. Mahito's whole deal is messing with people's soul, and in his domain that power goes into override. He can twist your body, mess with your perception, making it impossible to tell a friend from a foe. Basically, fighting Mahito in his domain is trying to punch a funhouse reflection of yourself. Confusing, disorienting, and guaranteed to give you a headache. Just remember, if you ever find yourself in the world-wrapped reality with a creepy smile staring back at you, you have probably stumbled into Mahito's twisted playground. Good luck with it. Number 4. Kenjaku's Womb Profusion. Kenjaku, the ultimate Jujutsu Kaisen villain, has a domain expansion as strange as he is. Buckle up because it's called Womb Profusion. It's basically a cursed spirit baby shower gone wrong. Imagine a giant shadowy pillar erupting from the ground, and instead of confetti, it spews out never-ending hordes of creepy, crawly cursed spirits. These little guys are like a grumpy cursed elves and they all want a piece of you. The worst part, Kenjaku can control this cursed elf like a twisted puppet master. He flings them at you like a living projectiles, and if they touch you, well, let's just say it's not a tickle fight. This domain is basically a never-ending barrage of bad vibes and cursed energy blasts. It's like being trapped in a horror movie with bottomless pit of angry elves, and the only way out is to beat all of them up. Number 3. Yuta's authentic mutual love. Yuta, a Jujutsu Kaisen resident, has a domain expansion that's as confusing as his feelings for his childhood friend. It is called the authentic mutual love. It sounds like a cheesy rom-com, but fear not, it's actually a total nightmare for his opponents. Here's the deal. Yuta's domain summons a battlefield of katanas, each representing a curse technique he copied throughout his journey. Think of it like a curse technique buffet, but there's a catch. Yuta can grab a katana blindly not knowing what the curse technique is, like picking a mystery flavor at a stretchy gas station. If he grabs the right one, bam, he unleashes a powerful curse technique with no drawbacks. The problem? There's an infinite number of katanas, and who knows what wacky technique each one holds. It's like playing Russian roulette with cursed energy, except instead of bullet, you might accidentally summon a giant cursed teddy bear. So facing Yuta's domain is a gamble. Will he unleash a devastating attack or get stuck with a useless technique? It's all part of the chaotic charm of authentic mutual love. Number 2. Sukuna's Malevolent Shrine. Imagine the most epic heavy metal concert ever. Instead of a mob, you got an exploding eyeballs and razor-sharp fingers trying to rip you into shreds. That's basically Sukuna's domain expansion, the glorious, brutal Malevolent Shrine. The domain turns the whole area into a twisted parody of Japanese shrine, all jagged edges and ominous shadows. But the real party starts when Sukuna himself, the king of curses, gets a massive power-up. His eyes glows up like a demon on a sugar rush. Here's the kicker. Sukuna can manifest multiple monstrous arms, each packing a punch that could level up a building. And these aren't your average creepy arm attachment. We're talking about fingers that can cleave through steel, hands that can snatch you mid-air, and maybe even a disembodied hand giving you a thumbs up. Not a good sign at all. Being trapped in Sukuna's domain is basically a horror movie come to life, with Sukuna as the ultimate slasher villain. So if you ever find yourself surrounded by a creepy eyeball and a giant demon arm reaching for you, well, you're probably fresh out of luck. Just remember, Sukuna's Malevolent Shrine is a one-way ticket to pain. Number 1. Gojo Satoru's Unlimited Void. Satoru Gojo, the blindfolded badass of Jujutsu Kaisen, has a domain expansion so broken, it's basically cheating. Buckle up because it's called Unlimited Void, and it's like stepping into a never-ending void with a serious case of information overload. Imagine a swirly black and white vortex that messes up with your senses, like a malfunctioning machine. Sounds trippy, right? Well, it gets worse for your opponent. Gojo's domain throws a never-ending barrage of information at you. A cursed energy flow, infinity symbol, and basically everything your brain can't handle. It's like trying to understand astrophysics while being force-fed textbooks. Pure sensory overload. What's the worst part? This overload slows down your perception, making Gojo look like he's teleporting around, while you're stuck in your own mind. Basically, Gojo's domain turns you into a confused fly in a fly trapper, while Gojo becomes powerful and has devastating attacks. So yeah, Unlimited Void is less of a fight and more of a sensory torture session. Don't get caught lacking brain power against Gojo, or you'll be left behind feeling like your mind just got screwed. Let's head to the comment section to discuss more about domain expansions.